Good evening and welcome to the July 17, 2024 regular meeting of the Holland City Council. I'm Mayor Nathan Box and I'm going to call this meeting to order. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Byrd.
Present.
Freeman.
Present.
Raymond. Corbin. Soul.
Present.
Rowan. Shea.
Here.
Schulteis. And Mayor Box.
Present.
We do have a quorum.
Wonderful, thank you. We're going to begin this evening's meeting as we have for many years. First with an opening prayer this evening by Councilmember Byrd, followed immediately by the Pledge of Allegiance, and we would invite you to join us.
All right. Good evening. Before I pray, I wanted to have a couple of words. Just a few days ago, there was a assassination attempt on a president of ours. And one of the things that, if you have heard me pray and been to many of our council meetings, when I'm praying, I usually pray about unity. To me, that is key. That's a key element. I served our country in the military. I have I won't say a better understanding than anybody else, but an understanding of, as a country and as a people, we need to be united, regardless of what our views are, regardless of how we see the world, what lens we see the world through. One of the things that was told to me when I came to council was, we have 9 individuals behind this desk. And out of those 9 members are 9 different viewpoints of the world we live in and the city we live in. And it saddens me to see our world, I won't say our world, but our country so divided to the point where evil could take hold of someone to take another person's life. And evil cannot prevail. I think when we have unity, there's no room for evil. And one of my prayers today, again, will be that of unity. I believe a lot can be done together versus us divided and fighting one another. So if you would, I'm going to pray. Father, I thank you for this beloved day that we have. I thank you for all the people in this community who, with their spare time, with their resources, whatever those resources are, give to this great city that we live in. That there in itself shows the unity that's in this city. I moved to this city not knowing anyone here, and am humbled through all the time that I've been here, where it seems like people love the city, and because of that, they love other people as well. Even though they don't agree with everything that other people have to say or do or how they live their life even. But in spite of all that, there's been a great unity in this city that I've seen. And that's one of the reasons I love this city. I pray for this state of Michigan, the great country of the United States, that your spirit will guide us to unity, Lord. We had a civil war a long time ago, and I'm not saying that we will have another one, but I don't want to be in a position where people are constantly talking about that, and we're constantly talking about things that separate us versus things that pull us together. I believe we focus too much on the less than 5% of the things that we don't agree on, and not the 95% of the things that we do agree on. I pray for safety for public officials. I pray for safety of those who serve this country. I pray for the safety of those who are out and about working for our city as well. And as we continue in this meeting, I pray that your name be glorified in the actions that we take. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Quincy. Next item on our agenda are our consent agenda items. These are items that are considered to be fairly routine, and they will be enacted by council in one motion unless a member of the public or a member of council asks to have an item removed from the consent agenda, and then it will be placed in its regular order on the regular agenda. But before we do that, Brenda, would you please review the consent agenda for us?
Okay, 4A, excuse the absences of council members Raymond, Rowan, and Schultheis. 4B, approve the minutes of the July 3 regular meeting and July 10, 2024 study session. 4C, accept executed oaths of office. 4D, a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for contribution to the city fiscal year 2025. 4E, a grant of utility easement for Holland City Fiber Project, Thornapple Ridge Condominium Association. 4F, grant of utility easement for Holland City Fiber Project, Centennial Condominium Association. 4G, grant of utility easement for 856 East 12th Street. 4H, declaration of surplus materials from June 2024. 4I, WRF raw pumps replacement contract award and budget amendment. 4J, the claims filed against the city. 4K, a Great Lakes fireworks permit. 4L, approve the budget for the Waverly Road and M40 intersection improvements. 4M, approve the budget for the city's share of MDOT's Business Loop 196 Chicago Drive project. 4N, approve the consultant proposal and budget for engineering and construction administration for the 40th Street reconstruction project and associated improvements. 4O, approve participation in the Kroger National Opioid Settlement. 4P, approve the letter of intent for the Foam Recycling Coalition grant. 4Q, approve a grant application to the Michigan Arts and Culture Council. 4R, award a bid for construction of a storage building at Windmill Island Gardens. And 4S, a revocable license agreement for a projecting sign at 24 West 8th.
Great. Thank you, Brenda. Is there any member of the public that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and placed in its regular order on the regular agenda? Seeing none. Any member of council that would like to have an item removed from consent and placed on the regular agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have 4O removed from the consent agenda.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Shea. We'll move item 4O, participation in the Kroger National Opioid Settlement, to item 12E 4.1. Any other items to be removed from consent? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of council in regard to the consent agenda?
Move to approve the agenda set forth with the exception of letter O.
Great. Moved by Mr. Vreeman. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Byrd. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Byrd,
Yes.
Vreeman,
Yes.
Corbin,
Yes.
Soul,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes.
and Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Under the Open Meetings Act of the State of Michigan, we provide the opportunity for the public to be able to address council both at our regular meetings and our study sessions, and also at every one of the board, committee, and commission meetings. We do have guidelines that we ask you to follow. We ask that each person speak for only 5 minutes. There are lights on the dais in front of me. There's a green light, which means you're doing well on time. There's a yellow light, which means you have 1 minute left, and there's a red light that means that your time has expired. And you don't need to feel the need to do the full 5 minutes if you don't want to, but if you like to, you're welcome to do that. We do recommend and state to you that this is one-way communication. It's an opportunity for you to speak to us about what you think is important. We don't engage in discussion at this time or answer questions directly during this time, but if there's a question that a staff member can answer later, they'll circle back to you to be able to help you out with that. And we ask that when you approach the podium, you please state your name and the municipality in which you live so we can know whether you're a Holland resident or not. Now, having said that, is there anyone here who would like to address council at this time? If so, please come forward. And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Gladly. Jim Story, I live in the city of Holland. I am the first district county commissioner for Allegan County that includes all of the areas south of 32nd Street in the city. And I'm here, Mayor Box and members of the council, to give you a brief update on the activities of the Allegan County government. Spent a lot of my day with our contractor for our fiber optic cable project, 123 Net, who are presently working in Fillmore Township, which of course is an immediate neighbor to the city, and was pleased to see the progress that they are making. At this point, they have installed 20% of the 1,100 miles of fiber optic cable that will be installed inside the county, and that will be to service about 11,200, or make service available to 11,200 residents who are either underserved or not served by high-speed internet. The project near to the city will likely be done by mid-November, and in the adjacent township, excuse me, of Overijssel by the end of December. Construction. Speaking of construction, on our courthouse expansion to accommodate the new circuit court judge that will be elected, and I expect that you've probably been introduced to the people who are seeking that job. At least I hope they're here, have come by. That construction also is on schedule and on budget. The new circuit court judge takes office on January 1st, 2025, so we do have a timeline to meet. A parallel construction, because we are moving some offices out of the courthouse that aren't court-related. Vital records of the clerk, Register of Deeds, county treasurer, and drain commissioner. We are almost done with the offices on our county services building on our Dumont Lake campus, which already houses quite a number of other county operations, including Mayor Pro Tem Corbin's former office. And so that project is done. We already have moved our equalization department into their new square. And our two projects together have a budget of $10.5 million and really has saved our residents tens of millions of dollars. And I'll give you a couple of adjacent counties have completed construction of new courthouses, one for $30 million and one for $90 million. So we are, again, keeping an eye on the tax dollars. We also are working with the Department of Natural Resources, or trying to work with the Department of Natural Resources to expand use of the Allegan State Game Area. That is more than 50,000 acre massive property in the heart of the county, and has been largely confined to just hunters and fisher people. And we would like to see other activities by outdoor enthusiasts, such as bicycle trails, maybe improved walking trails, and so on. And we've engaged our legislators to improve our conversation with the department so that maybe we can make some progress in that area. Also working with Lake Allegan Association on trying to preserve what is called the Calkins Street Hydroelectric Dam, owned by Consumers Energy. They are in the midst of evaluating the use of Calkins and 12 other hydroelectric dams that they own throughout the state. Removing this dam would render tremendous financial shock on 2,000 residents who live around Lake Allegan, and they've asked us to be part of their efforts to persuade Consumers Energy to find a way to keep the dam in place and thus preserve their values around there. It's also construction season in highways. We're building 2 roundabouts, our road commission is. And I see the yellow light is on, so I have one political announcement, and that is that I am running for re-election as a write-in candidate. And we encourage those who are in the city of Holland, in the Allegan portion, to consider me once again to continue my 10 years of service to our county and therefore to the city. And I don't know what your protocol is. May I leave these?
You can leave those with the clerk if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, great, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to be with you, and wish you well.
Great, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to address council? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Ann Henriksen, Zealand. I begin with scripture, Luke 18, 1 through 8. If you go to church, this will be meaningful to you and why I speak the way I do. Jesus told a parable on the need for them to pray always and not to become discouraged. There was a judge who didn't fear God or respect man, and a woman kept coming to him saying, "Give me justice against my adversary." For a while he was unwilling, but later he said to himself, "Even though I don't fear God or respect man, yet because this widow keeps pestering me, I give justice so she doesn't wear me out by her persistent coming." This scripture has spurred me on because the laws and ordinances of this council are proven to be unjust. Not my opinion, but by the fruit created from it. Perhaps your anti-discrimination ordinance, affected by the 2020 cultural influence Holland is ready, seemed just at the time, or was it for power and the perfect timing? 4 years later, we have fruit that this ordinance is not protecting religious rights and freedoms and is indoctrinating our children. This should make you cringe. You cannot turn a blind eye to this. I'm here tonight to speak to this reality. We are in a battle for the soul of our city, Holland. The attempted assassination of President Trump is a sobering level of hatred generated across this country against our constitutional freedoms and rights. This hatred is also the fruit of Holland's anti-discrimination ordinance. There is more to this story than a young man in Pennsylvania who pulled the trigger because he had been bullied. His motive is not important. The hatred in this city and county, propagated by the award-winning Holland Sentinel and the present government's support, is against our civil freedoms of decency. When the public saw the president turn his head not by his will, but in the nick of time, we knew God's divine protection of God's plan for America. On the other hand, others responded in hatred, hoping the next bullet does its job as a bullseye. I'm not over-dramatizing my views. Did you happen to attend the LGBT sexual-oriented festival funded by the city and taxpayer dollars? I did. The festival was bigger and had more of its sexual purposes displayed. The Human Relations Commission had a tent proudly advertising the city's financial devotion to this support to this event. One example that broke my heart was a 12 or 13-year-old young lady displaying a large pink fan that said, "Pussy Power." Adults now participating, not just attending. There was more than myself at the festival. Others also came not to express their sexual purposes, but to observe. I was notified that people in Holland had a flyer request in their church mailboxes asking 50-plus men to attend the festival, walking around it, praying, not in hatred, but asking God to protect the community's families. Then praying for those who are hurt and depressed. Sexual abuse brands you for life. I know this one. Compassion and truth is the only hope. Ask Winning at Home Ministries and Gateway. There is more. I attended the Out on the Lakeshore lecture series, Creating Space Advocacy, presented by the ACLU Grand Rapids. His goal was urgency, the visceral hatred towards the Republican Party, the candidates down to the county level, and the tenets of Christianity reached a snarling pitch of get the people out to vote any way you can. You must keep the laws of Michigan in place so we can continue to express our sexual rights and freedoms. This was not in the interest of justice for all people. May what I have said tonight to the council and the hatred in Holland be a sobering bullet, grazing not just your ear, but your heart. I know not all of you believe in Jesus, but take responsibility to revise your man-made ordinances for all citizens rather than creating division,
Mr.
chaos,
Mayor, that is
and
5 minutes.
hatred.
I'm sorry, your time has expired. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time?
Good evening, everyone. Council members, thank you for having this tonight. I come representing the Human Relations Commission with wearing my dress that I wore to Pride to report with pride and joy that we did attend, indeed, the Pride Festival, the Juneteenth, and we will be at Fiesta also this coming weekend. And
Could you please state your name and
I
municipality
beg
for the
your
record?
pardon.
No,
I'm
that's
so
all right.
used
Thank
to
you.
it. I'm so used to it, right? Catherine Ristel-Abass from the city of Holland. So we enjoyed it very much, had a great time connecting with lots of people, giving out information on advocacy and civil rights. And so I want to let you know that we've been doing that. And perhaps this is a bit more on my personal hat for the second part, but I rode my bike tonight. I love riding my bike and walking around Holland. And it's really been weighing on me that I personally, pretty social person, but I know 5 people who have been hit by cars in the downtown shopping district in the years that I've lived in Holland. And I'm not from here. I did not grow up here. 4 of them are grievously injured, can never run again, have been their life threatened by injuries, and of course, 1 that did die. And so I'm really concerned that pedestrians are not safe on 8th Street. Every one of them that I spoke to were in crosswalks. And so please, if we could pay attention to the public safety, not in the criminal element. I'm sure all of these were unintentional, but when death and human lives are actually changed for the worse through injuries, I would really think that this needs to be paid attention to. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period. Next item on our agenda is item number 9, written petitions and communications. In addition to providing the opportunity for the public to address us in person at our meetings, we also have an email address that you can send comments to. That is public comment, singular, public comment at cityofholland.com. When we receive those, they're received by all council members. We review those, and as we have them, we accept them into the record at our meetings. We don't read them out loud, but accept them into the public record. We do not have any this evening, but I just wanted to make sure that the public was aware that they could send emails through that channel. Next item on the agenda, item number 10, adoption of ordinances from the Planning Commission, a rezoning request for 5320, 5304, 5298, 5266, 5252, 147th Street, and a portion of parcel 03-005-012-00, also known as 5260, 147th Street in Holland. Mr. Van Dyken. It's a mouthful.
That was one of the longer mayoral intros I've been through here. But no, Steve is here. We've talked about this a number of times. We've talked about it in the study session. We talked about it last week. He'll give you a rundown on the rezoning request.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Matt. If you want to just thank you. So I guess I've been calling this the LG3 rezoning request. And of course, I'm going to immediately tell you to ignore the site plan. We are not here to talk about the site plan. But I thought this, and then of course I show you first graphic is the site plan. But I thought this would kind of help you get your bearings, as I know you've had a lot of different action items with this project. The project that we're talking about tonight, the rezoning, is for parcels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that long introduction was to kind of describe these. Parcel 5 is the one that essentially doesn't have the address because it was split off of a larger piece of property. So those are the properties that we're here to talk about. This is the zoning map that you have. A couple things to point out here. Parcels 4, 5, and 6 are the parcels that just recently came into the city through the 425 agreement with Fillmore Township. Parcels 1, 2, and 3 went through that same process a couple years ago. Really the only difference is that parcel to the south of 1, 2, and 3 was rezoned almost immediately. They thought they had a different project going. It was actually not going to be LG. And so they rezoned that almost immediately, left parcels 1, 2, and 3 in the residential category because the existing homeowners that were still living there really preferred that. The city manager and I sat down with them a couple times, kind of ran them through their options, and they really chose to keep it in that residential category. When properties come in to the city through that process, our Unified Development Ordinance tells us what the city zoning district is going to be. Because they were R1 residential in the township, they come into the city as an LDR, low-density residential zoning district. And so that's really what you're looking at on this map. This is our future land use map. That's my red circle there, so that's not on our map. But really just to kind of draw your attention to the area that we're talking about. As you can see, that gray area on that whole kind of southeast portion of town is our industrial zoning master plan future land use designation. So all of that area that's in the city is in that industrial future land use category. Obviously, parcels 4, 5, and 6 aren't shown on this map because they weren't in the city when we adopted that most recent master plan. But one of the things that we did put in the master plan was some language, a little bit like the Unified Development Ordinance telling us what the zoning district will be. We have some language in there that tells us that when properties come into the city, we're going to give it the master plan designation of the properties that it's adjacent to. So obviously where I've drawn that red circle, it's adjacent to the industrial district. So the properties that are coming into the city are going to have a industrial master plan, future land use designation. They're going to be zoned residential. If you flip back, Matt. Thank you. So again, this is the zoning map. So that's what you're being asked to vote on tonight is the rezoning of parcels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from LDR to industrial. Taking a look at the criteria, it's in your packet. I gave you a copy of the Planning Commission packet that they used. It's got all the criteria in there. After Planning Commission evaluated that, they have recommended 8-0 that you adopt the rezoning ordinance and change these properties to industrial. I will tell you that there was some folks at the Planning Commission public hearing, but the comments that they made were really all site plan related, so we spent a lot of time working through the site plan. There wasn't any comments in regards to the zoning ordinance, the rezoning ordinance request. So again, the recommendation tonight is to rezone the properties to industrial.
Any questions for staff? I have one I don't recall from the Planning Commission meeting. Of the folks that came to speak, and you're correct, they were speaking about the site plan, but none of those people that came to speak were owners of these parcels, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. Yeah, Mr.
Is
Corbin.
there a way to zoom back out? Was there a previous screen that showed a larger view of what we're looking at? A larger view of what we're looking at?
Yeah, your mic is on.
Mic's on. So back to the previous screen now. So are we saying that we're only looking at the 4, 5, 6 property, or is the low density to the north and south still in the city, correct? It's
So
not.
all
Okay.
6 of those properties are in the city.
Okay. Oh. Go ahead.
All 6 of those properties are in the city, and so the request is to rezone all 6 of those to industrial from low-density residential.
So everything outside of those 4, 5, and 6 are not in the city, correct?
So you have to go west, maybe a little bit northwest and south. That's all city. Everything to the east is in the township still.
All right.
I know it's a little bit hard to see, but that sort of strange line on the east side of where it says parcel 5, that's the new boundary for the city. That's where the new,
Okay.
that's
what I was trying to get to. I guess
Yeah.
I should have made mention of that dotted line. But so what you're telling me with the new UDO process is anything that is annexed in to the city going forward, adjacent to the industrial area, will be considered industrial.
So-
Well, at least it would be, yeah, I think that's what you said. It would be considered rezoned automatically industrial based on annexation.
So the future land use designation will be dictated based on what it is adjacent to. So depending on where else in the city, if we had a different annexation process and it was adjacent to differently designated properties, it would carry that designation.
Sure, but I mean, this whole section
Is
that
all
we're speaking,
industrial.
it's industrial.
Yep.
So, I mean, we already have an issue with low density availability for housing in the city. So I just want to make sure I'm aware of that, and my colleagues are aware of that, if we do in the future ever annex additional lands, that we have to be very mindful of that and what we're doing, so.
I want to clarify something for you that I think you're a little mistaken on the process. When the property comes into the city through a 425 plan, it comes in with the zoning criteria that is closest to what it had prior to the time that it came to the city, which is the reason why these are all R1 at this point, or low density residential at this point.
Yes,
so they
but
come in.
what he's saying is through UDO and through our ordinance currently, though, we have to then, it becomes, because it's adjacent to, no, he's not saying
No,
that.
the future, you're mistaking the future land use map with the zoning map.
Okay.
Future land use map is the intent, what we think we're going to be doing in the future, the intent for the property and the
Correct,
future
right.
land use. We say the property, when it comes in, stays with the zoning that it currently has, but on the future land use map, we say, but the plan probably is to have that become what it is on the future land use map. It's
Okay.
not automatically
Okay.
rezoned.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
It's not,
So that's
not
perfect.
automatic. That's why we're here today.
Perfect, great.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for staff? Mr. Byrd?
If I'm looking at this correctly, the Old Wing Mission is in that area?
Old Wing Mission is parcel 3 on that map.
That's what I thought. So how does this affect that? We had people come in regarding that, so I guess, could you speak to that?
So Old Wing, that parcel would be rezoned to industrial. They have indicated that, that they still have a process that they want to go through to determine what they might want to do with that property. So it's privately owned before, it's privately owned now. They've indicated that their intention is to preserve the Old Wing Mission. Rezoning it to industrial doesn't prevent that from happening. It doesn't mean that it will have to be torn down. There's lots of uses in the industrial zoning district that allow for different types of uses. So really the rezoning of it doesn't prevent any of that from happening, but we don't know yet what they plan to do.
Thank you. I just wanted to, if there's public who are watching this, who were interested in that before, just wanted them to know that this does not mean that that Old Mission will not be demolished or anything of that nature, so.
Yeah, we have received nothing from them that indicates that's what they intend to do.
Any other questions for staff? Great. Thank you, Steve. What is the pleasure of council in regard to item 10A?
Move to approve the rezoning request.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Byrd. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Vreeman,
Yes.
Corbin. Yes. Sol,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
and Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on our agenda will be item 12, Echo 4.1, the report to approve the participation in the Kroger National Opioid Settlement. That's the item that came off of the consent agenda. Mr. Van Dyken.
Yeah, so since 2021, we've had a number of these settlements with other companies. This one is with Kroger. Does not specify the amount that we will get, but we will get some kind of a designated amount over roughly 11 years, 12 years through 2038, with whatever we get spread across that. I should note that this funding is used to partially fund our crisis intervention team with a public safety group. So the intent of these opioid settlements are to put money to help with opioid-caused problems, which the crisis intervention team does. I'm not exactly sure why we took that off consent. If there was something specific you wanted me to speak to,
Yep.
I'd be
Mr.
happy
Shea?
to do that.
Yeah, if you don't mind me making comment. Just a few questions that I've asked myself and also others did the crisis intervention team exist before settlements began?
I'm not sure exactly the timing. Would have been pretty close.
Okay, but so I guess my thought is that I know that we stand by the CIT program pretty strongly as a community. I'm very grateful for it. I think it's one of the best. I mean, it's awesome. It's amazing, along with everything else the department does. But I guess I was intrigued by the fact that we are effectively paying ourselves back with these funds, is my understanding. And I guess I was surprised because it feels like something that would stand on its own, that we would want to make room for in our budget in perpetuity, and that these funds would then be additional. And so I just wanted to share that thought with my colleagues and kind of get feedback on that. So also, I do think it is something that is important that the public hear and understand, because this CIT program is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think if that could be a good subject for a study session where we get, Chief Messer, obviously Keith would want to be a part of that discussion as well. The CIT group, we all support that very, very much.
Mm-hmm.
So if you as a council member and your colleagues wanted to do that, that would be something you could bring to Keith and bring it in a study session, and we could have a much more informed discussion than I'm capable of providing you at this point.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anyone else on that item? Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, 12 Echo 5.1, Fire Division, approval of a lease agreement. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. We didn't, that's right. We discussed it. We didn't actually do anything about it. What is the pleasure of council in regard to item 12E 4.1?
So moved.
Moved by Corbin. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Shea. Any discussion? Seeing none? Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Corbin,
Yes.
Sol,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Now we're on to item 12E 5.1, Fire Division, approval of the lease agreement for 581 Ottawa Avenue for a temporary base of operations. Mr. Van Dyken.
Yeah, so as you all are aware, we've got one fire station that's brand new, that's 99.5% complete, and we're putting the final landscaping in probably next week. But that has caused us to vacate the Collin Park Station and begin the project out there. Through those discussions, I think going back multiple years, we had talked about having the ability to run out of a facility that's on this side of the highway and especially this side of the railroad tracks. Chief Messer, Captain Tinney, and their teams have been working through some different locations where that could happen to allow them to run really during the daytime. All of the places that were looked at would have required a very significant capital investment to make it possible to actually sleep in those places and live in those places, even in a temporary situation. So the request in front of you tonight is to lease a small portion of 581 Ottawa Ave, also provide some funding to do some minor interior modifications, about $15,000 worth, to allow them to run out of that station on this side of town during the daytime. They would sleep at the Waverly Road station, but then come back here in the morning to finish their shift and run from this side of town. I will say that the $4,500 a month rental fee is included in the budget, but this does include a budget amendment for the roughly $15,000 for the interior renovations. Captain Tinney is here tonight. I don't know if you'd have any specific questions, other than, yeah, we want to make sure we've got people on this side of town during the daytime when the traffic's high.
Any questions for staff? Mr. Byrd.
Yes, I guess, what's it look like for them to, I guess, are the vehicles going to be with them when they go sleep at the other fire station?
Yes, the vehicles are all over at the other fire station now. Remember, we're tearing the floor out of Collin Park.
Yep.
So
I'm sorry, I mean from this Ottawa
Yep.
location.
Yep, it'll go with them.
All right, that was it.
Any other questions for staff? Great. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve?
Moved by Byrd. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Corbin. Any discussion? Seeing none, Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Soul,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Corbin. Yes. Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 6.1, the gifts. Brenda, would you please review the gifts for us?
Okay, the city manager's office is pleased to report the following gifts. For the Department of Public Safety Police Services, a donation of $452.33 from the Holland Police Officers Association to purchase a gift for Scott Doza upon his retirement. For the Parks and Recreation Department, for the Bouse Pool Children's Entry Fees, $6,000 from Russ's Commissary and $4,000 from Robert Ortman Commercial Real Estate. And for the Sal Perez Scholarship Fund, from January 1 to June 30, 2024, cash receipt donations of $727 and employee deductions totaling $834.50. And then for the downtown group, Windmill Island Gardens, for the dates of January 1 to June 30, 2024, $50 from Patricia Flynn, 2 donations totaling $50 from Harold Gazan, $25 from Gary Ney, and the donation box totaling $570.09.
Wonderful. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item, in the regard to the gifts?
Move to approve said gifts with a token of our appreciation.
All right, moved by Sol. Is there support? Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? I just have one comment and a question, Matt, that maybe you can answer for us in regard to Bouse Pool. Are kids having to pay anything for an entry fee to get into Bouse Pool?
It's my understanding that no, that those donations allow those children to enter for free.
That is absolutely fantastic. I love the idea that that's supported, that we are able to provide that through these generous donations from the public, especially in a hot summer like this one has been. So great. I just want to put an exclamation point on that. Any other comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next. Oh. Oh, we had a motion, move to approve.
Oh,
Sol, Brenda
okay.
did. Belinda did, sorry. Looking at Brenda, saying Belinda. And Vreeman, yes. Yep. No, thank you for trying to keep me on my toes. Next item then is item 6.2, fiscal year 2024 strategic plan and business plan final report. Mr. Van Dyken.
Yeah, so this is really one of the primary tools that Keith uses to report to you on the progress of the goals that are set every year and also, kind of what staff is doing to accomplish them. This is usually a consent item. We decided to put this on regular tonight just because I think when we look back at the previous fiscal year, it's good for us to celebrate the things that have happened, the goals that City Council has set, and the execution of staff members. So this is in your packet as well, but there's a page of highlights for the fiscal year, each year at the end. I'm not going to read them all, but just a few. 1,148 housing units, 365 or 31% are attainable. Success of the grant manager position. The public information coordinator goes full-time. Updated master plan, Parks master plan, South Shore Village. Martin Luther King Day is a city holiday for the first time. We've got a transitional lease with a max. New union agreements were approved on July 1. Reviewed and updated rules of council. Significant major project, Holland City Fiber, fire stations, Waterfront Holland, ice rink. Transition of management contract with the Civic Center, transition to new finance system, massive park investments at Moran Park, and Window on the Waterfront, public safety investments, new trucks, new fire stations. So I think we just wanted to kind of bring this to your and the public's attention that these are things that we should all as a group, you as the elected officials and all of the rest of us that get to work here, a lot got done this year, and I think we should all be proud of that. So again, normally a consent item, but we figured tonight it's a good day to bring it out and celebrate some of these accomplishments.
Great, thank you. Any questions for staff? Yes, Mr. Byrd.
No question, but a comment. You rattled off all that stuff, and it's just a small portion of everything. And I don't know if this is the right segment to do that, but I think anytime you say thank you is a good time for that. So Matt has played a vital role, and I would say probably 100% of these things. And so thank you for all the hard work that you've done. I appreciate it.
I thank you for that. That means a lot to me, but really it's our staff. It's the people that don't see every day that do all of this. So we're extremely lucky. We were talking about that. Steve's gone now. Just talking about the team we have from top to bottom, and the things we're able to accomplish. We're punching above our weight class. Let's be honest. We're accomplishing things here that a lot of communities don't get to, and we do not take that for granted. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments for staff? And I'm just going to echo what Mr. Byrd said. I was having a conversation with a community member today talking about all of the great things that are happening in the community. And I said, we keep a running list of probably about a dozen projects and things going on, any one of which would keep a community of this size and a staff of our staff busy. And you guys have all of those balls in the air at the same time and do it with grace and with skill and incredible results. So thank you for that. And thank you for making this available for us to be able to share with the public as well, because it's awfully fun for us to be able to share with the public all the great things that are happening here in Holland. So, Mr. Corbin.
Are you looking for a motion to receive as information?
I believe that's what we're doing.
So a motion to receive as information fiscal year 2024 strategic plan and business plan final report.
Right. Moved by Corbin. Is there support? Support by Byrd. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 13, looks like 646, not from our city manager this evening, but our assistant city manager. Our city manager is attending a city managers conference in beautiful Marquette, Michigan, way up in the UP during black fly season. So we hope that he's doing well and that he brought his bug repellent with him. But we do have, I believe we have communication this evening from our very able assistant city manager, Matt Van Dyken. Matt,
yeah,
floor's yours.
I'm not sure all of Keith is going to be coming back from the UP after the black flies get a hold of him, but just a couple of things, awesome stuff going on. It's Fiesta Week. La UP is holding a ton of events. They were actually at our farmers market this summer, and it was this morning, seems like last summer, this morning, and had a program, and it was really fun to watch. One of the things that struck me the most was all the people from out of town that were visiting the farmers market that just kind of wandered over and started talking to the La UP volunteers that were down there, and it was just a great intermingling of people and a great place down there at the farmers market. Speaking of the farmers market, the new farmers market website launched this morning. So if you get a chance, you can find links to that on the city website or just search for Holland Farmers Market. Kara and her team over at the PSD and the Farmers Market did a wonderful job with that website. My favorite part of it is that each and every vendor has basically a profile page that you can click on and get a little bit of information about their farm, link to their social media, their website, and just get to know the farmers a little more. A lot of times we go down there, we have our favorite vendors, we buy our vegetables, but we don't know much about them. This provides that, so it's a great thing. And then with Fiesta, the street performers are downtown again. So make sure you get out there, participate in Fiesta. It's an awesome thing for our community. Saturday and Sunday, they close with a car show at the Civic Center on Sunday. It's going to be a party down there, so they're going to have a great time, and I hope we all get a chance to at least duck in there and say hello. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Matt. Next item on the agenda, item 14, appointments and communications from the mayor. I have a number of appointments this evening. I would ask that council approve the reappointments of Scott Traeger and Sean Miller to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority with terms to expire on June 30, 2027. Vince Boilo to the Planning Commission with a term expiring June 30, 2027, and Javen Groningen to the Neighborhood Improvement Committee with a term expiring June 30, 2027. And I would be looking for a motion in that regard.
Move to approve those nominations.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support? Support by Sol. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And I do have, I was going to mention La Upa as well, Matt, so thank you for bringing that up. Also, Saturday is the big Fiesta event with the car show and food trucks, and it just gets bigger and better every year. I attended their Latinx experience. I think that's what I called it. Now I'm thinking I got the name wrong. Yesterday afternoon, a great conference, great opportunity to hear great speakers, great panel discussion. I really am very proud of the work that La Upa has been doing in this community. As I said in a proclamation yesterday, Holland is the second largest Hispanic population city in the state of Michigan, with about 24% of our population being Hispanic. And what I challenged them, I said, next time I do this, I want to be number one. I think I don't want to be number two. I want to be number one in the state. So, and the way that we do that is by making a welcoming community, a place where people feel valued, they feel like they belong, and they feel like they are part of this community and contributing to that. And La Upa is doing a wonderful job, not just with Fiesta, but year round in making that happen for the Hispanic community in Holland. So that's wonderful. And then some sad news for the community. We lost a giant last Thursday morning. I'd like to, a local resident, Frank Cry, who I like to refer to as an extraordinary, ordinary person. If you have been following the Holland Ice Park construction, Frank's $1 million gift on top of the almost $100,000 he'd given over the years was the catalyst to get the fundraising going, to get the construction going. And his gift was premised on the fact that we start the construction prior to the time that he passed away. Frank was 88 years old. And while that was an enormous gift, a gift of a lifetime to this community for the future of this community, it's, in my mind, it's dwarfed by all of the other great things that Frank has given to Holland over the years. We always, every time we talk about Frank, we talk about how the most common word out of Frank's mouth was the word wonderful. Frank thought the world was wonderful. Frank thought people were wonderful. And I haven't met very many people in this community who do not have a Frank story, a story about how Frank somehow touched their lives. Matt, our assistant city manager, was saying, his wife met Frank at the bookstore and engaged in conversation. And Matt has pictures of his kids sitting on Frank's lap as Frank was being Santa Claus in the community. I have pictures of my own kids on Frank's lap as Santa Claus. Frank was a tour guide in the community for Tulip Time. Frank hosted a local TV program. He hosted the Tulip Time parades. He was everywhere. And on top of that, those are all things he did outside of his profession as a teacher, both at the West Ottawa Public Schools and at the Holland Public Schools. And Frank is truly an example of how one person can change the world, simply by being a good human being. Somebody who loved his life, loved his community, and loved the people around him. And we will be benefiting from the gifts that Frank has given us for generations to come. Every time I walk past that ice park and I hear kids laughing and joking and enjoying themselves out there ice skating, I'm going to think of Frank, and I know that Frank's going to be smiling from heaven. So, Frank, thank you. Thank you to Frank's family. Thank you for everything that you've given to us, and we are going to be good stewards of those gifts that you have given us to move this community forward. And that's all I have this evening. Next item on the agenda, appointments, motions, and communications from council members. Mr. Corbin, I believe you have something.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. To this board, it's recommended that the City Council accept the reappointment of John Bedard to the Board of Appeals. Term expires June 30th, 2027.
And is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support? Support. Support by Shea. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any other motions, communications? Mr. Vreeman.
I'm so sorry that Chief Tenney just walked out the door. I toured the fire station at Waverly this afternoon with a student, international student that I was with, and just really appreciative to their staff and team. for making that tour available. 2 medical calls came in while I was there. So my tour guide got called away the first time, second time, and then I'm like, hey, I got to get out of here and get out of your way so that you guys can get back to work. And so I'm just very, very appreciative, and the station is absolutely beautiful and what's taking place down there. Secondly, just congratulations to Layup and Fiesta and all the activities that they've worked hard to organize and orchestrate and to offer to our city and our citizens. It's just, I'm super excited for them, for John and their director and their entire team. And then got to go again through the market. If you were not at the market today, it was just bustling with people, a solid east, west, north, and south. It was just solid people, and then everything that was happening all around it. So there's some good things happening, and it's been really fun to be a part of it today and show it off to other people.
Great, thank you. Any other motions, communications from council members? Seeing none, there's just one more motion I would accept at this time.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Vreeman, is there support? Support by Sol. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Hey, I'm